Okay, and public comment, Marcia. I'd have to say no since there's no public here. I see no public. No, okay, all right. All right, the consent agenda, the minutes, and the financial reports. Anybody have any extractions? No? Okay, need a motion?
That we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Okay, all those in favor? Okay.
I'm sorry, the
Thank
consent
you.
agenda, I didn't see.
Matt made the motion and Lisa seconded.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I don't see the PTO, so we'll come back to them. Dr. Stella.
Oh, I'm on already.
You have to pay attention.
I hope you were ready.
Yeah,
We're ready.
yeah, well, it's a wonderful time of the year, you know, as we approach the holidays. I'm glad it's not snowing this week, but we're on alert for any of the days. Any of the parents out there, just a reminder, be on instant alert. We don't expect anything soon, but just be ready. Learning takes place in so many different ways, and there are so many different plays going on and presentations throughout the school, which is good. A construction update: during this past week, new lighting was installed in the A-wing classrooms, in most of the A-wing classrooms. There are a couple left, but they'll be taken care of very shortly, and also in the B-wing. Substantial work will be done over this December break, including installation of the new chiller on the roof, as well as a new generator. The extended day program will be canceled over the December break due to the work that will be occurring here. And I'll mention one district, from a district perspective. We were thrilled to see the video conference that took place this past week between children from our 5th grade here and children from a 6th grade class at the International School in Efrain, Morocco. What an exciting event that was. I had a chance to talk with Dr. Stephen Trevent and the director of the K-12 University School. And we offered him an invitation to come. He offered us an invitation to come. I was ready to jump on the plane, but we'll wait for that. And we want to really thank Mr. Drowski and staff members for really looking for different types of possibilities that will benefit our children directly. The children were thrilled to see each other and to talk with each other. It was a simple agenda. They asked each other questions. And the questions were very interesting. What kind of lunch do you have? Do you have detention? What kind of recess? What are your subjects? What languages are you studying? And things of that sort. So it was delightful to hear that. And there's a possibility of continued video conferences involving not only students, but also teachers and parents. It's just an added piece of the puzzle of moving forward and trying to support our children as they become global citizens. Mr. Drowski, working with a team from UNH, will also wants to contribute to the community too. So on January 27th, there'll be a presentation at the Woodbridge Library on what this trip, Fulbright trip was, what insights they got about the trip, and also how it could possibly add to the educational environment here at Beecher Road School. I'll ask Mrs. Prisco for a Beecher Road School update.
Can I do one thing though before you start? Emily noticed on her way in that there's a car in the parking lot with its lights on. It might be a Kia or a silver SUV, so if anybody here. It's probably yours.
But usually the lights go out.
Tonight they didn't. Yeah. I know where you live, Chris. I give you right. All right.
It wasn't
Okay.
the main lights, Chris. It was like the side light. You know, like the low dims were on.
Okay. So I don't know if anybody here, but okay. Sorry.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
So with that introduction, no, I do want to reiterate, Dr. Stella said it is a busy time of year, but I hope that everybody has an opportunity to take a minute and just reflect on the meaning of the season, the holiday season. It was apparent to me when I sat and listened to the Beecher Road Band. And so I'll kind of put this twofold, the PTO and collaborating with us to work with the family book fair night and the band concert on the same night. We believe that it increased the participation in the book fair night as people exited the concert and went up north because they had parked up north to go to the book fair first. So we do appreciate that. You probably will never hear this again, but on one of the days of the book fair, as I was doing dismissal duty, I must have watched and told 6 or 7 children to stop reading because as they were walking
Well, that
up
ties
the
into
hall
my budget presentation. That's wonderful.
with their books in their hand, bumping into each other. And, but you'll never hear me say this again, but please put your books away while you're leaving. So I do want to say thank you to the PTO. It was a wonderful event, as well as our concert. The children were tired. They did their practice during the day for all of the students, but then when it came to their performance at night, they, like us, took their constructive criticism. They slowed down when they were talking. They followed Mr. Letch's direction, and it was a wonderful evening to be had for everybody. So again, we hope to continue that collaboration, Family Book Fair evening, and the band as we go forward. So that's a thank you. Few updates. Cafeteria update. We did have a bit of a problem with our My Payments Plus, but we believe that is all fixed now. You'll hear that message again or see it in my principal's e-blast as I do reminders. Also, I would like to just, if parents are watching, there is still, we've extended a little, quite the pile of lost and found items.
I saw it.
So if you go, your child comes home and there's no jacket, please come to the table. We had it out at the book fair and many items were claimed. So we'll say thank you for kind of coming back and looking for those items. Finally, one more. Our teachers have a wonderful opportunity frequently, due to the support of the board, to continuously improve their practice through professional development. As you know, we work with Columbia University, and last month our consultant was here, one of our consultants. But our teachers also had an opportunity to attend a small group of teachers one day and another small group another to attend at Columbia University some workshops for some professional development. And they were surrounding reading, and one of them, K-1, phonics, and assessing your students at their just right level and moving them forward. And for another one is fast, potent, and responsive ways for teaching students in small groups. So we want to thank you guys again one more time, and we'll have our consultant here again this week for our primary grades to work with some embedded practices within the classroom with our students. You'll hear more about math later, so I'll hold off on that. But as we try to help students and improve our practice, we need to continuously learn as well. So thank you for supporting that.
Thank you for mentioning that, Mrs. Briscoe. Our connection with Columbia's Teachers College is a very, very important one. It's a premier educational institution that works nationally and internationally. And it's no secret that the success of any learning organization depends on constant growth and learning of all of us who are working with children. So everyone at the school learns. It's wonderful to see our teachers so eager to jump on that train or drive down and to just to grow in different, outstanding teachers, but looking to grow in different ways. And it's I'll mention this in the budget presentation. It's wonderful to have a bridge with educational and also cultural organizations. The school, as we know, is more than 4 walls. It goes out into the world, and we want the world to come into the school too. So we appreciate the enthusiasm of our teachers who, whether it's during the summer, on the weekends, or taking a trip during the day, reaching out for further learning.
Dr. Stella, I'd just like to make 2 observations. One about the band concert. I don't think it was conveyed sufficiently enough how well attended it was. It was standing room only. Out in the corridors, and to have to shuffle with parents to get a look at your child or children when they're performing, but even the cooperation among the parents when there was their son or daughter playing, there was a lot of pride. It was fun to be a part of. And then on a personal note, with regard to the Morocco comments you made, Dr. Stella, 2 of my sons participated in that program. One went in with a little bit more bravado than the other. One of them was nervous, but both came out of the experience beaming. And
It's good
wanted to know what is Arabic. And not having a perfect answer for them, I said, ask your teacher at school, and with those remarks, I'll close those comments. So, it was very much enjoyed by the 2, and I'm sure the others too.
You know, looking at the concert, it seemed like a sea of children playing. It seemed like, I'm sure I'm embellishing this here, it seemed like hundreds of children playing in the orchestra. I'm sure it was only 99. It seemed like hundreds. And even with the interchange, we had 2 professors Arabic professors from UNH with us too. And we were just talking about the importance, and I know the board appreciates this, of world languages and cultures. My dream one day is to have some kind of academy, Saturday academy or Sunday academy of languages, where our children and our parents and our teachers can choose what they want to continue to further their growth with. But that's a vision. So now we'll get down to budget.
Yep, it's time for budget. Oh, am I going to be in the way?
Okay, board members, if you'd like to turn around, we're going to take a good look at the screen. Well, good evening, members of the school board and members of our audience here, and also citizens of Woodbridge. We're here to discuss the operation budget for 2015-16. This January will begin my 11th year as superintendent of the Woodbridge School District. What an honor it is for me. But from the very beginning, our approach to budget creation was budget supports the educational mission, but we've used the mantra from that year right up to the present, and our mantra has been higher quality education for our children. Always higher quality, they can't wait. Change is happening so quickly, always improving education. At the same time, having a respect for the taxpayer during tough economic times. So there's always a balance, and the right balance. We belong to the town, and we're all part of the town. And the town has oversight of the school too. So we're very proud, and I want to demonstrate how we kept that mantra on both sides. As far as quality, let me just review a few things with you, things that you know already. We've been designated as an excelling school. That's no small feat. There was a complicated formula of looking at all types of data, growth over time, and so on. And we share that distinction with Amity High School also, as well as some other schools throughout the state. So that's something to be very proud of. Our focus, we have a strong academic curriculum. That's the #1 job. But it also has to do with an extensive balanced literacy program. Mrs. Prisco, I'm happy you said that you, half-jokingly, had to stop the children from reading. Our goal is to create a generation of lifetime readers, writers, thinkers, and learners. And we see many indicators that we're well on that road. Our children are introduced to all kinds of multiple genres of reading and writing. So it's a very, very important program that we're proud of. And we have lots of visitors coming to our school to see the program. And as I may have mentioned, we're an affiliate of Columbia University, so we're a visiting site for schools. There's also an intense science program. And we're one of the few schools in Connecticut that has a science laboratory. And we can be proud of the fact that we have a science coordinator, that Woodbridge values education so much that we have a science coordinator. What a wonderful role model. She's a PhD from Yale University, teaching our kindergarten to 6th grade children. So we're very, very proud of that. And one of the indicators of standardized testing anyway, we see a lot of empirical data as far as the quality of our program, is that in the last CMT test in science, which is still being given, we ranked #1 in our DERG at 22 of the some of the highest performing districts in the state, and #5 in the entire state. We have a comprehensive new math initiative, but our success in math, if you want to look at standardized data, is we've been on the top of our game as far as CMTs in the past, but we've set the bar a lot higher, and that's what we want to do this year, and you'll hear more about the math initiative later. We believe in public education, that we're at the forefront of elementary world language study. First of all, thank you, school board. for supporting world language at the elementary school, which does not happen in a lot of elementary schools. And yes, we will have that extra half hour in the second grade next year. We're looking for ways of doing it, and we will get it. We are collaborating with our middle school and with Bethany Elementary School in really aligning what we're doing. We visited the middle school recently and had a chance to observe the classes, say hi to our kids. They all gave us a nice round of welcome as we were there. And so we're moving forward with that. Woodbridge values education. Our TAG program is important. Our MAG program is a non-conventional program. You just don't see the likes of it around. Woodbridge is a town that values this type of option for parents. We have many families that move here for that reason. So I salute the town in supporting that. And it's something to be proud of. We have state-of-the-art technology, and I'm sure you've all read the book that I gave you as a gift during school board week over here, The Second Machine Age, that really highlights the importance, and we want to make successful individuals out of our students, the importance of combining, using technology as a tool. And it's infused throughout our curriculum, but as a tool in the proper developmental way. And we have a team to watch that and to monitor that at the same time. As we mentioned this, we treasure the collaboration with educational cultural institutions. We have strong connections with the British Museum of the Arts. We have connections with our universities, Columbia, with Southern, with University of New Haven, Albertus Magnus, UConn. We have connections with ACES. We have membership in consortiums, the Tri-State Consortium. There's a math consortium statewide that we're part of. We have our sister schools in China. We have a new sister school in Morocco and several others on the runway. So we look forward to that. Other things we can be proud of, thank you Mr. Gilbright and also Mrs. Prisco for mentioning the concert. It's an award-winning program by any indicator. It's award-winning. Salutes to Mr. Letch. He does marvelous work. He brings out the talent in the helps to develop the talent in our children, and our community supports the program. I don't know any other elementary school that has a music adjudication where judges travel from other states to come in and give direct feedback to our children. It also gives our children an opportunity to work harder preparing for this here and to take their music very seriously. Beecher Road School is a gallery of the visual arts. And like any good art gallery, it's constantly changing. And if you remember, we took the entire school board on a gallery walk, videotaped it too. So it's a source of pride. The dramatic arts flourish with our after school and our summer programs, and we're looking for ways to even increase that. We have a very unique 43-acre campus. It's a learning environment. There's opportunities for environmental stewards. There are gardens. I consider it a wildlife preserve. I was trying to give a serious lesson to a language class there, and some deer ran past us right outside the window. That took care of the lesson. But there are all kinds of opportunities also for recreational. We have 3 playgrounds there, so it's something to be proud of. There's strong support for the social emotional. Mrs. Haverkamp gave an executive summary of what we have, and that was a taste of what we have. Physical and health aspects of every child are important. That comes from the staff, from the parents, and from the school board who are so interested in these topics. There's a major initiative. We want to raise the bar. We know our children are living in a different world from probably what we grew up in, and we're trying to prepare them for that, and we're trying to have transformational change. It's a work in progress, and it's a goal of the school board and of the district at the same time. We're aligned with that. There are before and after school programs and summer programs that provide all kinds of different enrichment. We had a report on our summer program. There were at least 5 types of programs that were mentioned there. Our extended day is an acknowledgement that our parents, our community, that we all live complicated lives. And our own staff are the people who handle the extended day. So our parents, our community trust our teachers and our teaching assistants and provide this unique opportunity for our children. And we have award-winning communications. In January or February, we're going to have someone from the Executive Board of CABE come and present the 6 awards that we've won this year for communications. So that's an example of some of the ways that we have our quality at the school. We like to say Beecher Road does it all. And as a good learning organization, we've never reached our potential, and we always have to improve. Now, as far as the other part is respect to the taxpayer. So let me give some examples, demonstrated examples, how we're really trying hard to save the taxpayer money and how we appreciate the support they're giving for the schools. Any good organization should have, especially educational organization, should have a carefully managed staffing grid. That helps us to see what the spread is, where our teachers are. And there's a value to everyone along that spectrum, from the new teachers who bring a new vitality, a new hope for the future, new ideas coming in, to our mix of veteran, seasoned, experienced teachers and everyone in between. The balance is important too, because one year, as happened years ago at Beecher Road School, we don't want to have a year where all of a sudden 12, 15 teachers leave. That would hurt the continuity of what's happening. So we look at that spread. So, and at the same time, what that does is it helps save some money. So let me show you an example of how that is. Well, looking at 2007, 2008, okay, we see there's about 11% of our certified teachers who have 5 or less years experience. And if you look down at the bottom, there's about 37% that's starting to form that bubble. We're fortunate to have experienced teachers, but you have to watch the bubble, how big it gets. From a balance of staff, and also from a situation of you don't want everyone leaving at the same time. And also cost-wise, it's a bubble. So if you remember, it was 37% in that bubble, and we've had early retirement initiatives since then. So you might say, Dr. Stella, wait a minute, it went from 37 to nearly 50%. What's happening here? Well, let me show you the next slide. See that 50%? It would have been 60% if we didn't initiate that. So what it gives us by doing the early retirement is a good balance of staffing, working today and preparing for tomorrow, and grooming our new staff coming in, mentoring and grooming them, keeping a continuity of philosophy as we go along and core values, and at the same time watching to see that we don't have that bubble. What kind of cost savings does it mean? Well, by the way, it's more than cost savings, because we have a very, very dedicated group of teachers that have many teachers who have dedicated their life to Beecher Road School and to Woodbridge. And we want to honor that commitment that so many people have shown. Early retirement gives us a way of doing that, and at the same time offering a financial benefit to the taxpayer. And you can get an idea. Mr. Pulo has helped us chart from 2009 to 2015 what some of those savings have been. We've also studied the trends of who retires when and so on, to understand exactly what's happening with that. And we calculate with our data that there's been a total savings to date from 2009 of over $1 million. Now that doesn't mean we have $1 million in the bank or in the budget. It means that very possibly our budget would be $1 million higher unless we reduced it. And if we reduced it, we wouldn't have all of the accomplishments that we mentioned before. So what other kind of savings? Well, something very, very important is the savings that we gather by working together, everyone, all constituents, and that means the town and the Board of Education and the school district working together. Look what happened as a result of that. We converted to natural gas. It wouldn't have happened without a team effort. And in 2016, our new budget, we have approximately $70,000 for heating costs. Well, look, in 2013, that was $90,000. So look at that savings in a short time. $20,000 saving, or a 23% savings. So let's take a look at some more examples of it. Of course, we have consortium buying too, that saves money. But here we have health insurance. Again, a team effort on the part of the town, the school district, our insurance agent, and the WEA. We have been able to keep our premiums below the state averages. I say the WEA too because in our negotiations with them in 2012, they worked with us. They worked with us to get some real good savings for realizing that we're all part of the town. So look at those. That was almost minus 5% with our premiums in that year. Now let's go back to education. Here's Dr. Willard Daggett is a co-founder of the International Center of Leadership in Education, and respected nationally and internationally. Look at what he had to say to bring us back to education. So our challenge in schools today is trying to keep up with the exponential pace of change in the world around us. That means, is Beecher Road School the way it was 10 years ago? We'd be in trouble with the world changing so quickly, or 5 years ago. We have to change to the changes going out there, and that means transforming the way we teach, the way we work together. It's no longer the one teacher in front of the classroom, the way I was taught, and the way many of you younger people were taught too at the school level. It's a medical approach, like a medical team. It's a whole support team that works with the child. So yes, it's the classroom teacher, but it's the psychologist, the social worker, it's the health teacher that's alongside, it's the support staff fulfilling the mandates required, but also the right thing to do in working with our children who are above level, below level, in between, moving everybody along. It takes a whole team to do that. And that's helping us to prepare children for our teacher, for their future. Now, I'd also like to mention that, we spoke about our accomplishments, how we try to save the taxpayer money. We talked about our quote over here, preparing our children for the future. So in putting our budget together, it had to support our vision. It had to come together to be respectful to the taxpayer. So there were challenges. Maybe not as great as crossing a precipice or finding earmuffs in a frigid area of the world, but nevertheless there were challenges. And what were some of those challenges? Well, transforming our school to prepare children for their future, not our past. That takes budget. State mandates that continue at a breakneck pace and that we're working with, and we're working in a way to translate some of these mandates in a way that we still keep our core values and our philosophy as a school. Teacher and administrative evaluation systems, Common Core, new computerized data assessments, and the never-ending required services and interventions, many of them very beneficial for our children, but the law. There's also the Beecher Road School building upgrade. Now don't get me wrong, taxpayers, we appreciate it. We're happy we have the upgrade. But did you ever try to remodel your kitchen or your bathroom or the whole house? Didn't that take a lot of work, a lot of decision making? And we don't just walk away from it, we're always interacting with our contractors and so on. Well, the same is happening with the building upgrade. We want to make sure it happens the right way. So that means a lot of attention by a lot of people to it. And the rapidly evolving technology driven by globalization. Okay. Now, did everybody read the book I gave you from The Second Machine Age? Mm-hmm. It's a book that really highlights the dramatic change that's happening in technology, how it's affecting our lives and so on. And so we have to fashion our children's education to meet those changes. And the increasing rather than decreasing enrollment. I mean, that's a good challenge because we love children. And families moving in is a healthy thing in our town. But it's a challenge making sure we have the right resources, the right space, the right faculty, and support services needed for that. Now, with all this, okay, with the challenge, now we have vision, we have accomplishments, saving the taxpayer money, our challenges. Looking at our budget, reviewing it, there were some surprises. Let's take a look at some of the surprises were there. And the surprises were mixed. For example, there was, with the data we have in front of us, remember, we're beginning our budget cycle very early. So things can change over the months, and we're always transparent with that. But at this point, from the information we received from our insurance carrier and the town, there's less volatility in insurance costs. So our budget is built around a 7% increase. If that data changes, we'll come back to the board in town. We work hand in hand with the town, so it would affect the town side as well. Dramatic savings in heating costs, that's a positive, of course. Increased number of students, again, we're projecting, and I'll talk more about it later, an increase of 22 children. The volatility of special education costs, we're coming in slightly higher in special ed. We thought there would be some savings, but we're coming in slightly higher. But because of the importance of serving all children, we always have to watch the volatility of that. So we have a careful eye in that situation. The planning and involved with our upgrade, the amount of time and so on, we promised the taxpayers that we would be good stewards and keep a close eye on that and work cooperatively with town departments and the fire department and all our inspectors and so on, and that we're doing. Now, the cost of maintaining new building systems, there are savings, but there are also some expenses. Our HVAC system is a very sophisticated one, so that means that we'll have to have a sophisticated service plan for it too, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later with our budget. The cost of website hosting, our website vendor, went out of the website business, so we took the opportunity to get a more robust kind of vendor, and there was a small cost involved with that. And another surprise, a positive surprise, was the savings when we took a closer look at it. And one of our board members encouraged us to dig deeper with this here. We were surprised at the substantial savings that there were. We knew there were savings, but we were surprised at the substantial savings. Our budget process, remember, our budget supports the mission and the vision. That has to be there first. And we come as close as we can with a zero-based. But every dollar, let me assure you, every dollar has a name. We know where every dollar is going. We know why it's going there. And we try to get $1.10 out of every dollar. $1.50 if we can. So what's the process? We review staffing needs every year. We look at the number of children, our projection, what our class sizes, obligations are, what kind of services we need for children. So we present those needs. Teachers, and doing that, teachers and department heads talk together. There's a wish list that people submit, that teams submit. They submit it to the department heads. There's the wish list, and there's the necessary and the valuable, and that everyone takes a good look at. Requests are reviewed by administrators and business manager, and the focus is on, do the requests align with our mission, with our objectives? Every account is scrubbed. That means really looked at carefully from every angle. Mr. Pulo and I work constantly going over, reviewing every single account, over 300 of them on numerous occasions from all different angles. With this budget, over half of all of our accounts had no increases or went down. The final review is by the superintendent. The buck stops here. And again, watching the quality, we can't sacrifice quality, and also what we think, communicating with the board, the town, because we do communicate with our ongoing finance committee from the board, and we do communicate with the town on an ongoing basis, what's a fair way of going. So that being said, let's talk a little bit about what this budget supports. It supports our Board of Ed policy on class size. We don't have the lowest class size in the state. We don't have the highest. We have reasonable class size and modeled on them on the guidelines from the Board of Education. Constant development and updating of curricula, and we'll talk a little bit during our math update later. We'll talk about the vibrant work that took place among our teachers and administrators this summer. Focus on challenging all students, including advanced learners. That's where we're heading. It's a work in progress. The big vision, and working with Amity too, is on more personalized differentiated teaching and learning. That will be the transformation that we're heading towards. The academics are important, social emotional is important, physical development of every student is important. And we have the staff and the resources to move that ahead. There's embedded, differentiated professional learning that happens on a daily basis inside the school and outside the school, during the year and during the summer. All special education mandates, and I would say all mandates are accounted for, as are all contractual obligations. This budget provides the certified and support staff to get the job done. We are placing highly qualified, certified people in front of our teachers. We look carefully at any new people being added to staff. We hire with the highest expectations. We're not asking for any new certified staff. We are asking for increased hours. We want to go from a half TA to a full-time. This TA will be working with our 2 psychologists and a social worker with special training and focused on a small, relatively speaking, population with social and emotional needs within the school. We are asking for 1 part-time cafeteria aide because our numbers have grown and we need more coverage in the cafeteria. The budget provides for constantly enhancing our balanced literacy model, which is the stem of the multiple literacies, all the different curriculum areas that we have. We have continued support for our mathematics model, additional funding for the website I mentioned, and all the needed materials and supplies to support our mission, whether they be instructional materials, office supplies, custodial supplies, anything that's needed to get the job done. Okay, so drum beat, Mr. Pulo, what's the bottom line? What are we asking for? With all that being said, a 3.82% budget increase, 13.5 million. Let me explain. We sent the packet home to the board. We reviewed the budget packet at the Finance Committee, and we had liaisons from the town side with us looking at it too. We've sent the budget document to the board to review all the different accounts and so on. But let me point out a couple of things that were kind of highlighted at the Finance meeting. It caught our eye too that there might be some questions about. And if it's too small to see on the screen, you have a copy in front of you. One was that you could see 11.2 increase with teacher assistants. And you might say, what's that about? Well, that's correcting what already exists. If you remember, last year we had projected 7 first grade classes and 5 kindergarten. But we had said to the board, because that was early in the year, that we would watch the numbers of students, because we don't know where the new moving vans are going and what age the children are coming in. So what we found that there was, even above our projections, there was increasing number of kindergarten children, and that was before the summer. We didn't want to wait till the end of the summer, and that there were some children in first grade leaving. So we were able to, within guidelines, switch the teacher from first grade to kindergarten. But that meant adding a teaching assistant, which we made the board aware of. So there was an additional teaching assistant in our actual budget, not the approved budget, but our actual budget, and we're making this part of our approved budget going forward. There's also the cost of the half-time TA that I mentioned, and the contractual obligations as far as increases for the TA of their contracts. Another one that might hit the eye is a 6.4% increase with other salaries That's really for the contractual obligations for, that's the new cafeteria aide plus contractual obligations for cafeteria aides, nurses, board clerk, and lifeguards. So it's a total of $11,000 increase. The lion's share of the proposed increase of the 3.82 is for contractual obligations. We will be next year in year 3 of the teachers' contracts. And the teachers were really worked with us in negotiating their contracts. So year 3 goes up to 2% plus what we call steps. So it's the 3rd year of the contract. You know, we benefited from the 1st and 2nd year, so now this is kicking in the 3rd year. Why the $87,000 increase in services, and the 2 services mentioned there? That's service, property services and purchase services. Well, let me explain each one of them. There's a new HVAC and micro-turbine, wasn't the generator that I said before, it's a micro-turbine maintenance contract that is new to handle our sophisticated equipment. And that has a price tag of almost $40,000. It was over $50,000, but we saved money in the fact that we don't have to clean our old boiler anymore. So that's an increase of 17.6%. And we have the website that I mentioned before, and also, but workman's compensation, liability insurance has gone up. Now, this has additional intern, but it's really not an additional one. Last year, we reduced ours to 10, trying to really knock our budget down. But with our increased population, we have to bring it back, that intern back. Reaping the benefits of the natural gas, again, was a benefit. Again, our savings, we over 7 years, we spent over $100,000 more than today on heat. That's a savings of 150%. I think my batteries are going low here. Okay, so just a quick summary, 88% of the proposed increase is for contractual obligations and a minimal increase in non-certified staff. Listen to this part here. Okay. The remaining 60,000 is for all other accounts, so we really did scrub the accounts. Now, class size comparisons and projections. We have the 2014-15, that's this year, and we have next year, we're projecting an increase of a little over 20 children. And if there are any changes as the year goes on, we'll let you know. How do we come up with those figures? Well, we have a demographer that's well known in the state that we've been working with for years. He has taken an extra special interest in Woodbridge because he says it's an anomaly what's happening in Woodbridge. He said, Guy, it's not happening throughout the state. And the commissioner verified that. He said one of the biggest challenges in Connecticut is the reduced student enrollment in schools across the state. He said we'll pay extra close attention. But in addition to that, we reached out to another demographer, so we have 2 reports. And added on top of that, I use my judgment. And living here, working with you, and looking at our things there. So we believe that we'll be able to, at this point, through our lens, meet the class sizes. But we will look carefully, really carefully, at who's leaving the school, who's coming in, and what grade levels they're on. And we'll make any adjustments that are needed. It might be good to take a look at staffing levels at a time when there was about a similar population as today. And for that, we go back, I don't want you to see that yet. We go back to the year 2006, 2007. That was my first full year as a superintendent here. And some of you were here at the time. That was the budget that was First budget in my life that was a below zero budget. And the message was, take a look at staff, trim staff, and do it carefully. So we reduced about 4 or 5 certified staff, including the supervisor at that time. We all took on additional hats to do it. We try to keep the cuts as far away from the children as possible, but we did reduce staff, and so that was a slim staff in 06, 07. And now if you look at, compare it to 15, 16, if our projections hold through at 8, 18, we have more students, and we're 3 below that number. So for 9 years, we've held to what is necessary to accomplish our goals, and in spite of those 21 more students, we're holding tight. We're trying to keep our mantra going. Take a look at our personnel summary, our staffing grid. Not our staffing grid, our personnel summary. We're not asking for any certified teachers or staff, but who do we have? We have 42 classroom teachers. Someone might say, well, what do the other people do? Well, remember, we're transforming education. It's not one teacher in front of the class. It's similar to the medical model. You have your dermatologist, you have your ophthalmologist, you have a whole assortment of teachers working. Let me give you an example. We have 1.5 art teachers for the entire school. That's not a lot. Music teachers, 2.5, but one is instrumental. Look at the results we get with that. PE, there's some overlap, but we basically have 2 physical education teachers and a health teacher, and again with some overlap, for 800 children. 2 world language, that means 1 for every 400 children. Language arts, ELL, that means 4 teachers, but one of them, just about 100%, close to 100% of our program is meeting the mandates of supporting English as a second language students. And then our other 3, they're working with our literacy model, but they're also working with state mandates as far as different tier interventions. So they're doing a lot. 2 math specialists, 1 for every 400 students. It's not a lot. Remember, Beecher Road School is double the size of the typical Connecticut school. Mrs. Prisco could vouch for that, I'm sure, right? They burn a lot of calories every day. Our technology media team, it says 4, but let me give you a little explanation. We had 2 library media people. 1 retired. What we did, and it was the people involved that really helped us move forward, we took an outstanding classroom teacher who had an advanced degree in technology and really a passion for it. We teamed that person up with the library media person, and we have a synergy that's unbelievable. Then that leaves 2 technology teachers, and one of the 2 is also the coordinator of our complex technology operation. It's a team like no other and helps us do things that probably most schools just don't do. Our science coordinator, I spoke about that. Special education, we have 9 certified staff. It's an outstanding program that we have here. It's at Beecher Road School, the diverse needs of so many children are met in the neighborhood school, and we couldn't do it without the 9. And those 9 are stretched. We have pupil personnel services, 2 psychologists and a half of a social worker. And our instructional support means our TAs. We're asking for a slight increase in our special ed TAs. Our TAs are the glue of this school. They perform so many different roles that really hold us together in a variety of ways in all different kinds of services to children, whether it's direct instructional services, working with the teacher, in the library, in our tech lab, working with special ed children one-on-one, all kinds of ways. So we have an increase of 1.5 TAs, but 1 is in the actual budget this year, so it's a 0.5, and a 0.5 with the aid in part-time aid in the cafeteria. Let's take a look at our budget history over the past 7 years. I'll give you time to look at it. And this is what we see. If we had a hypothesis about this here, we'd say 4 out of the past 7 budgets have been below 2%. One was 0%. And that's with the help of the good teamwork with the WEA, administrative team, school board, and WEA working together. And another was at less than 1%. So I think this demonstrates the respect we have for the taxpayer. And we said when we have needs, we'll come to you. When we don't have, we won't ask for it if we could fulfill the mission without asking for additional. Where does the money go? It's self-explanatory. Yes, 60% is salaries, 20% is benefits, that's 80%. But education is a labor-intensive industry, and it's about putting highly qualified people in front of our children. So it's typical that it would be the bulk of our budget. And of course, we have our heating is below 1%, and also our furniture and equipment. We try to get as much wear and tear out of our stuff as possible. Okay, let's go back into education here. Finland. Why do we mention Finland? Because Lisa Connors and I heard a really outstanding, world-famous educator, Dr. Pasi Sahlberg, who was a visiting professor at Harvard. He wrote this book, Finishing Reading Finnish Lessons, What Can the World Learn from Educational Change in Finland? And he had a number of things to say. I've heard him speak on other occasions also. But Finland is one of the top 3 countries that comes up high on the international tests. The media always touts them. The other countries are, I believe, South Korea and Japan. And when we asked Dr. Sahlberg, I said, what does it mean to Finland now you must be so proud to be #1 constantly? He said, we don't care. He said, international tests are competition. We believe more in collaboration. And because with collaboration, people share ideas. With competition, we try to keep them from each other and try to be the best. So we don't pay a lot of attention to it. Then why do you do so well? Or where do the ideas flow from? We get most of our ideas from the United States. That's where a lot of the research is done, but we implement them in an organized way. And so what's some of the secrets of your success? You say, well, one is equality. We make sure the resources, we look at the whole child and make sure that whatever the school, whatever the child, that they get whatever it is that they need. Whether it's special services, whether it's improvement, or they're high on their educational pathway, whether it's health or whatever. And what can you say about the teachers? This I thought was a very powerful quote. Teaching is not rocket science, it's harder. So he said we choose our teachers, we choose those who go into education very carefully. There's lots of competition to get into our educational schools to train for teachers. Don't take offense at this, anyone, but it's harder to become a teacher, he said, in our country than to become a doctor or a lawyer. And he said we train our teachers well, but then we support them and we trust them. So what about accountability? This is his words. Accountability is what's left when you subtract responsibility. Now, accountability is a strong word, and responsibility is an even stronger one. We take both words very seriously at Beecher Road School. And there's another quote from someone in the United States, not as important as the other two. We're running out of steam here. someone in Connecticut, lives in Connecticut. In fact, someone who knows Beecher Road School quite well and loves the children just as much as you do. And this I tell the school board and the citizens of Woodbridge. We take responsibility for the education of our children very seriously. That's our accountability. And we will not let our children down. We won't let you down or the town down. This is what we will give, what our teachers and our staff will give. And this is what we're asking of you in the town. Woodbridge values education. Our board here, this present board and past boards, our town, our citizens have always showed a value in education. Please continue to help us to enhance the quality of education by Beecher Road School. We know that 3.82 is a little higher than the 0% or the others that we've tried to tighten our belt with in past years. We would only come to you if we needed it. If there were ever a change, we would come back to you and say that. Support our children with this here. And all of us, let's trust our teachers and our school leaders, present company included. They're working so hard to bring us forward. We would not have the indicators of success without their love for our children, but also their hard work and their own personal commitment to be leaders of learning. So thank you for your attention. I know it's a long presentation, but we try to include all the elements, not only for the school board, many of you know many of the things we said, but also for our TV audience. With that, we give a special salute to our school board. Thank you for your dedicated service and the hours that you put in, and really your commitment and the goals that you have as a school board demonstrate that commitment. So we're so happy to be aligned with that. So Al Poole and I will be here, and anyone else too, to answer any questions that you have about the budget.
I just wanted to say, I think it's an excellent summary. It's tough. This is geared towards the Board of Selectmen, Board of Finance in many ways. Like you said, the Board of Education has the details behind everything. And it's tough to explain everything that goes on, but I think this does a good job to getting with numbers, but also getting to what goes on in the school, which is what causes the numbers to be what they are. Did anybody have any questions for Al or Dr. Stoller or Steve? Did you want to say anything about the budget? I know you want to make your presentation.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, of course.
I just wanted to ask a question about world language. You had mentioned that there was the will to increase for second graders Spanish, and so I'm wondering if there was any discussion about increase, and that you're not sure how you're going to do that, and this year it wasn't possible to do it. So I'm wondering if there was any discussion about increasing the world language teachers by a half of a position or something, or how that is going to be, what the administration is thinking in terms of how that's going to happen.
I can tell you there's a definite plan, and I'll include that when I give my update on the world language, but we are committed to increase it a half without adding another staff member. It's looking at existing staff, and we'll have a solid program, very solid. I think we'll come out ahead with that. But I know that's been something on your mind. And you hear us talk about world culture and global education. It's important for us too. So we are committed. We're looking very carefully at, I don't want to say anything on TV and then have to change it, but we will make a commitment towards having that half hour, and we will come up with it.
Anybody else?
Well, I want to give a kudos to our board of our school finance committee, because these numbers and so on, it's not a one-shot deal that all of a sudden we give you a budget booklet and everybody looks over it in a few days. Finance committee, we work on an ongoing basis, and we have representatives from the town side on there, and there's, just like yourselves, some very, very smart people with good experienced backgrounds looking at numbers and so on. So they're part of our team as far as moving forward with this here. And we try to be, all of us, the finance committee included, we try to be as transparent as possible, because I mentioned trust a lot here, but the trust between board and town and boards and citizens is very, very important to us. And Steve Fleischman is the chair of our committee, and I don't know, Steve, if you want to say anything or the budget or...
So I think the only thing I would say is, we've worked very hard over the last, 6 years to make sure that we keep the budget at reasonable increases. And in many years, we've gone 0, we've gone 1%. We've really kept it in check. And I think along that entire time frame, we've actually increased the number of students despite what, the predictions of our wonderful demographer have
We have
told
two
us.
demographers now.
No, we have two
And
demographers.
myself, but no.
So I'm going to predict whatever they say is the opposite. But, we managed with early retirement incentives to increase teacher salaries, to have our teachers continue to move up on their steps, which increases it even in a state of 0% increase. And I think, I think this budget, while it's higher than what we've had in the past, is sort of appropriate. And with the number of students that we have, I don't think that there's any other way to get to a tighter number than that. So I encourage everyone to look at it, to ask questions that they have, but I think there's nothing you can do but support the budget as presented.
Thank you very much. And I want to thank you, Steve, and the members of the Finance Committee. And I also want to thank Al Pulo, because Al's office is right across the way from me. Can't get away from me. We meet daily, whether it's for 5 minutes or 2 hours or whatever. And also I want to thank the members of our administrative team who are very, very much involved with us. Thank you.
Okay, so I think we need a motion.
Move that we approve the 2015-16 budget as presented by the administration for submission to the boards of selectmen and finance.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Yep.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Stella. And Matt, update?
Yeah, let me just put my other hat on. You just give me a minute to get settled.
Coffee break, is that what you're saying?
Just stretch your arms or stand up. I'll be right there.
Okay.
Mark, roll call.
I'm getting Board of Ed.
We couldn't this year, and I'll explain why. Okay. You tell me when you're ready. Chair.
We're all set. We're all set, yep.
Okay, so
Math
the board asked for an update in mathematics, and my understanding of the minutes, there were 2 areas. One, plans for differentiation, and that's a major transformational objective that we have as a board and as a district, and also how we choose our curriculum, select curriculum, and I guess anchor set selection, as I'm interpreting. And I'll start, and I'll ask our administrative staff to work with us on this here too. As far as, I'd like to say by starting that, one of the most important things is good first teaching, so that our teachers constantly grow in their ability to be excellent teachers of mathematics, instructional strategies, and so on. So our professional development is extremely important. Our anchor set has helped us along that way. So Nancy, I'll ask you to talk a little bit about how our in-house math specialists assist us in anything about outside professional development, consortium, or otherwise that's there.
Well, this is truly the year of math. If you walk around the building, you walk into classrooms, there's just a new excitement about math. Our 2 math coordinators are doing an amazing job. They each work, as Dr. Stella said, with over 400 students and a number of different teachers in a number of capacities. In the classroom, working with groups of teachers outside the classroom, doing demonstration lessons, co-teaching, working on problem solving. We have help from ACES this year. We have Emily Friel as our math consultant from ACES, who is meeting with teams to really dig deep into the standards and work on differentiation within the standards. We are a member of the Investigations Consortium.
So with ACES now, working directly with each of the teams on every of the grades,
Yep.
it's not only breaking down the standards, but looking for ways to differentiate and helping
enhance-
teachers in that way.
Yeah, to enhance lessons and to differentiate within the classroom in a number of different ways, through math workshops, through small group, through individual kinds of projects. We're doing a lot with performance-based tasks and projects to try to enhance the learning for all students across all the continuum of abilities. So we have had, Emily has come in and worked with a couple of teams. She's going to be working with every single team. We're really digging deep into the standards. They're very complex standards. And to make sure that teachers are understanding the standards that come prior to their grade and that come after their grade, and to go within those standards and to differentiate for students. It is a work in progress. It's a lot to do that. Every child is an individual. Each child, no matter what their ability, is unique. And to try to find the exact spot where they're going to be challenged appropriately, not to be in a point where they feel like they already know the work, but also to be in the Zygotsky's proximal development area where it's just the right challenge for kids, where they can just really strive to get where they need to be. So we're working on that very diligently. Every classroom teacher is working on that. Their goals for this year include differentiation. Every single teacher has to differentiate in math as part of the teacher evaluation plan.
How about the consortium?
We're a member of the Investigations Consortium. It's our second year attending. I think they've been together about 12 years. We started last year when we started working with investigations. There are teachers from New Canaan, from Simsbury, from Milford, from Cheshire, from Trumbull. We get together once a month. Tomorrow is another meeting. It's a really dynamic group, and they actually have a voice with Pearson, which is the company that publishes investigations. Some of what has come out of their meetings, they have actually spoken to the people from Pearson. A lot of the changes that we have talked about, they're actually making in their 2016 product, which is very nice to hear. During their meetings, they worked on assessments, developing banks of questions for assessments. They have put together checklists where they are looking at investigations and making sure that the Common Core state standards are addressed appropriately. So it's an ongoing group. They really are an exciting group. It's math teachers and math coordinators throughout these different districts.
Is there any other type of professional development that you want to mention?
We had great professional development and curriculum work in the summer. We had teachers going to the Atomic Conference this year. There were so many teachers who wanted to attend. It's the Association of Teachers of Mathematics in Connecticut. We could have had 50 people attend. We had representation from every grade level, including multi-age. People came back so excited, wanting to order lots of things. They got a lot of free samples, things that integrate reading and math, because that's a big part of what's going on in math now. If you look at the Common Core state standards, you look at the SBAC testing, reading is a vital component in math. There's no such thing anymore as what they used to call the naked numbers. You can just do computation. It really is integrated into problem solving and practical application. So a lot of what they looked at were things that incorporated reading with mathematics. Part of the consortium, they have done workshops on fluency, and that's another area that we're delving into, mathematical computational fluency and fact fluency as the basis for children to really understand before they move on to higher order mathematics. This past summer, we had teachers working here doing curriculum work. It was the most exciting time I've seen with curriculum work in all the many years I've been here.
We had people from all grade levels, first through sixth. And because of construction, everybody was in one room, which was really sort of this big think tank.
It was an exciting room.
It was really an exciting room, and you saw people working through lunch. And people were eating and working and talking and putting together, again, looking at the standards, making sure we're aligning our curriculum with the state standards, the Common Core standards. We worked on performance tasks, on creating assessments, on using the investigations checklists to make sure that we were teaching appropriately, not standards that were no longer on that grade level because things have changed dramatically. Very exciting. People really worked hard, stayed late, wanted to come more days. So lots of good work went on in the summer.
And what about the materials from UConn that you're taking a look at?
We're taking a look at mentoring mathematical minds, the M-Cubed program from the gifted program at UConn, as a means of enriching our students in math. We just got some materials that we're looking at, and we'll be trying them out in some classrooms.
Well, Gina, could you say something
Could I
more
ask one
about-
question first?
Sure.
Yeah, sure.
And I don't know if who's better address the answer, but every teacher now is differentiating in math.
Every teacher is working on differentiation
Is working on
in math.
differentiation.
I want to make
Every single
something clear now. We have a near-term and a long-term goal. The transformational process, and every good educational system is doing this, is trying to work towards more personal learning pathways, but that's going to be a journey. So I wouldn't say if you walk into every class right now and you'll see every child that's being differentiated, but I would say very big steps are being moved done in that direction. And this is the direction we're going in over here.
I was just curious what kind of feedback you were getting from the teachers. Did they find it going smoothly, difficult?
It's a great deal of work, and it's very challenging, but it's very rewarding. I think that's what it comes down to.
To correct me if I'm wrong, many of our teachers have said, okay, we're moving more towards, this is a big change for educational systems, towards differentiation and focusing on the individual. These are professional learners. Give us this support. If you have a new paradigm of instruction, you need a new paradigm of professional development. So we're trying to set in place all these kinds of things that will move our staff forward with this here in a new direction. So, yeah.
May I address it from
Sure.
the eyes of a teacher who has joined us this year? And I was just in his classroom, and he gave his similar workshop model, gave his whole group kind of mini lesson of the new learning, and then students were set out to do different tasks at different levels. So I met with him tonight before the meeting, and we talked about how much that takes to do that and what some things we could tweak it. He's been working with both the language arts and math coordinators because there's such a crossover with the literacy piece. So in his words, he said, I couldn't imagine myself teaching math the way I learned math. If I was to just stand up there and put problems on the board and have that sea of faces feel like I felt when I learned math. He said, this is really hard, but I know when I see them engaged in working that it's worth it. So is every lesson, every day differentiated? It's kind of like having all of you with a different symptom and saying, okay, treat all of you at once at the same time, but we're getting there. So I think we are, even from my 3 years here, have moved very far. And some people, we've moved further, and others were working with them to move them further. So I think that helps.
Let me mention this here too. We started this morning with a meeting at our district office. Dr. Dillinger was there. He brought the key math person over from the middle school. We had the principal from Bethany Elementary and a key math person from there. We had Gina was there, and Nancy was, and some key people from our staff here, all talking about the same thing, heading in this direction, and how do we align for that. So I see definite progress, but that's why we'll have to report back on an ongoing basis. It's a work in progress that we're trying to transform. But say something about the evaluation system too, that Nancy started to talk about.
So how do we garner evidence of teachers' differentiation? There's meetings with teachers beginning of the year, middle of the year, end of the year, and we talk about what it would look like, and we put out to teachers and teams some ideas of how they can provide evidence to us. It could be simple lessons. student work samples, but also homework assignments, and I can give you a 6th grade classroom example. A teacher's usually pretty serious, and at the end he's like, no one moves, when they were switching back to their math class. And he named 3 or 4 children. He said, everybody's doing something different, remember? So he named 3 or 4 children, this is what you're doing tonight. Another 3 or 4, this is what you're doing tonight. And he was teaching with another teacher in the classroom that day, and at the end they were like, whew, we're tired. But at the end of the day, every child got what they needed. So those are some examples of ways that they'll show us that they're differentiating for their students.
55% of the evaluation has to do with student learning too, so we're going to try to tie this into a growth model where we're all taking responsibility for our children and watching growth over time with them. But an added part is, yes, did you want to ask?
Just while we're on the topic of the differentiation in math, how do you see the math tag program fitting into this? As this becomes more fully developed, does it become unnecessary for kids to be taken out?
I'll add a comment, and then ladies, you feel free, including Sheila, to add. I see the TAG program as a generator too, because a lot of the strategies in gifted and talented should be permeated throughout the school. So that's why we're continuing, if I may add this here, a little longer term. We're working with Jean Purcell. She will be working with us. She's started already. And it will take us a little time to do this here, but we're trying to be innovative in developing a new paradigm of class walkthroughs, class work walkthroughs that will allow administrators, but also teacher leaders to be able to do class walkthroughs on a scheduled basis, but looking at student learning. This is aside from the evaluation process. This will be looking at what are the children actually doing and being able to take snapshots of what's happening on grade levels and also school-wide. Not from a point of view of catching someone doing something bad, but the idea of are we making progress and moving towards differentiation, and do we need differentiation in professional development in certain areas that we don't have right now. I think that will be a real breakthrough, and what does Steve say? Under promise and over deliver. So that's all under promise. We won't do that this year. We'll do it next year, but we're working hard to develop the model this year. That will be a real breakthrough, and
You're not supposed to say that out loud. Really?
sorry everybody.
A little piece of
Erase that from the table.
One thing I just wanted to say in something that Nancy said is to hear about the enthusiasm of the teachers, because I know there's thing after thing after thing that the teachers have had to deal with, and to hear that they're excited about this and they're bringing it back to the classrooms and they want to talk about it and they want to do things is excellent. And as long as they have that enthusiasm and feel supported, feel supported by the board, by whatever is needed in terms of professional development, is key. So that they keep that enthusiasm and don't go, well, we tried, but we don't have any support in any of the things we need. So that support is critical, and if something's missing, that will be something we want to know.
The sharing of ideas right now is probably at an all-time high.
That's great.
Teachers who are maybe new to Beecher, who bring something to the table. Teachers who are new teachers who go to veteran teachers who say, do you have anything for, yep, I have this, I created, and sharing. No one is an island in education anymore. You cannot be.
There certainly is a focus on mathematics.
Yes, absolutely. There's a first grade teacher who came in the other day and said, look what I got. When she had gone to the Atomic Conference, she had signed up and they sent her some books. Maureen Krawick also, look what I got when she got the M.
They get excited.
Everybody's so excited like it's Christmas, look what we have. But they do feel supported and they do appreciate it very much.
That's great.
I just wanted to ask a question about the SBAC and if you've gotten, I'm sorry.
Really, we're not there yet.
If you've gotten any feedback from last year in terms of kind of what the math piece is going to look like compared to last year, and at what point if you haven't gotten it, at what point you're expecting you're going to get it, and then at what point is kind of the focus shift from whatever you're doing now to kind of how you're going to help students with that component.
Well, our focus is going to stay constant on teaching the Common Core standards. That's really what we're doing. We're sticking with the standards. We're looking at pacing guides. And we're looking at how we're teaching and trying to make sure that material is covered in a timely manner, that we don't wait until the end and all of a sudden say, oh my goodness, there's a unit on measurement. But as far as teaching to the test or for the test, we're actually teaching math and teaching it in a really exciting way. We're having kids learn how to struggle and how to talk and how to think and delve into ideas. And hopefully it'll work out for the SBAC. We're not really talking much about it this year, to tell you the truth. I just sent an email to Rick Wood about a meeting on SBAC, and he was like, oh my goodness, it's coming back. But we really aren't focused on it as a test per se. We're just doing good teaching and hoping it'll all...
That's why I used the example of a friend from Finland. We're going to take the SBAC test. It'll probably be less time than we would with the CMT. We're not focusing on preparing the children for it. But Margaret asked what kind of support. The support we'll need from the board then is that we're not teaching to any test. We're trying to raise the bar. So who knows how the figures are going to come out. We're not looking, just like Finland, we're not looking to be #1 in the state on the SBAC. We're looking to be #1 in preparing our children for life and really we're looking to challenge them and help them to have those words that we hear so often, the rigor and the resilience of being able to dig deep into problems and persevere and follow through with things and that and so on. So who knows how the scores are going to come back or so on. So that's what we would ask for the support of the board on. And then this way we give the same message to the teachers and they can relax with that too. And our children are taking the test, and I would ask our community, trust us too. Take the SBAC. My grandchild will take it when he's older. We'll take good care of the children. We will. We will watch out as far as the stress and everything else. We won't put it out of proportion. And we'll use it as a little piece of the puzzle here. And the main focus will be everywhere else. And so that we don't get involved and all of our energies pulled in focusing on the SBAC, you're against it, for it, and so on. But let's focus on our math initiative. So some of the assessments and so on, if in the beginning they seem lower, it's because the bar has been raised, and we're not trying to overwhelm our children, but we're trying to look for ways of really helping them along their pathway. And there are some children that can ace this stuff here, you know, and just like in basketball, there's some people who are really good at it, and some children who need that scaffolding to get there. So we're trying, we really are trying those aspects. I hope as a community we could approach this here without a lot of controversy and a lot of things to be weary of in the outside world. But as far as what we're doing here, trust our teachers and our leaders. We'll take good care of our children. We always say that. And we're trying to move them ahead for their future with this here. I trust our administrative staff. They work so hard, and our teachers. There's all kinds of things happening within the school. Are our teachers working harder than ever? Yes.
Absolutely.
Do they and all of us feel this change that's going on in the world around us? Yes. But wonderful things are happening for children too at the same time. The other part, I want to make sure we answer the board's questions. The other was, I believe it was, how do we select our anchor set? Was that the question the board wanted to know, or not?
I'm sorry, what did you say?
How do we select our anchor set?
Did somebody have that question last month?
Or was that the curriculum? No, that was
I'm
okay.
not familiar with that term, anchor set, but I know we were interested, just what curriculum choices we've made. So we use investigations and
Right.
how it might differ from other options out there. and
Yeah,
how
so
often
that's
we
a
look
good
at
way
it.
of approaching it, sure.
We looked for a resource that matched our style. We were looking for more of a constructivist approach to math. We looked at a number, we had a committee of teachers and the math coordinator. Last year we didn't have two, we had one, so our math coordinator was on it. We had teachers from 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. We had a rubric that we used. We looked at a number of different resources, Envisions, Expressions, Singapore, a couple others. We were trying to find a resource that aligned to Common Core standards. We were looking for something that had rigor, but more than rigor, a thinking curriculum that could be adapted to it. And investigations is tough. It really is a tough book to teach. We can ask people who are teaching it. It's not open the book and turn to page 1. It requires a lot of teacher preparation, a lot of discussion, Before a unit is taught, the teachers sit together and talk about it. They pull it apart, they look at what's being expected. It's a tough thing to teach, and it's worth it because kids are learning how to think. They're struggling. They're being asked for multiple ways of solving problems, for different kinds of strategies. If you go into a first grade class, we had a problem the other day. There's a 10-minute math component that's a math talks. They discuss math specifically. And in first grade the other day, in their morning meeting, they had a problem. There are 14 animals. Some are pigs, some are chickens. How many pigs could there be? How many chickens? So they had to be able to figure out different combinations, and then they were able to write an equation that went with the combinations. But if you talk to them, 10 minus 6, how do you figure that out? They'll talk about different strategies. So a student will say, well, I can count on. Well, show me how. Okay, 6. I put it in my head, and they go 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Somebody else uses a number line. Somebody else just knows it. So investigations allowed that to happen. So that's why we basically chose that. There were other options that were more teacher-directed, more traditional, and we decided to go with this.
And is this our second year?
We now have 1st through 5th.
So
Second
it's
year,
rolling
3, 4, 5,
implementation.
and we
Okay.
added grades 1 and 2 this year. And there's a lot more talk, as Nancy just said. I'll think of the second grade classroom that I was in the other day within their math journals, and sitting with children and having them explain to me how they arrived. Every child I sat with, if there were 4 children I sat with, there were 4 different explanations of how they arrived at a similar response. So there's multiple strategies that are being
And again, there's a
used.
consortium, not from the publishing company, but a consortium of educators that are using this as a tool. I would also add, it was before the selection process, but Mary Vincetorio and I went on a 3-day visit to Trumbull to study their math program. It was a math visit to Trumbull, and we had a chance at that time to talk with parents and children and teachers. And they had been using investigations for a number of years. There was very, very positive feedback. Am I right, Mary?
Yeah, definitely. May I add one more thing? Talking about the connection to literacy and math. And what we found this year, we have some partnerships of a language arts coordinator and a math coordinator working in classrooms together during math time, working on the literacy strategies that can be used in math. And we hear teachers and children using reading strategies when they're solving mathematical problems, word problems, or through their problem solving. So it's just showing again how connected both are. Picturing, wondering, envisioning with math.
Does that answer the questions of the board? I just have to report on Tri-State too, but I just want to see if there are any questions. Okay, Tri-State, again, we had a meeting. Thank you so much, ladies. And you can feel free to add anything to this here. We had a committee meeting last week, and again, about approximately 20 people showed up after school. That's an indicator unto itself. So we're moving ahead with that. We have the essential questions, the indicators. And by the way, differentiation is a part of one of the indicators. The executive director from Tri-State and the assistant director, Kathleen Riley, will come and speak to the entire faculty in January to talk about experiences that they've had over the years with Tri-State visits, and that the value they see it, but also any hints or suggestions as how to get the most out of it as we move ahead, and also to answer any questions from the staff. Do you want to add anything to that, Gina or Nancy or Sheila?
Okay.
That's it.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Great. Right. Okay. Facilities, Karen's not here. Chris, was there anything in facilities that was?
I mentioned the
know you did
lighting.
updates.
Also,
Her
just
minutes are attached in the.
Oh.
Yeah, I was just
So everybody's
thinking
got
that.
She
them.
submitted her minutes, so they're
Okay.
attached.
There's just briefly I'm sorry, Dash, were you talking about lights?
go. You can report on it.
Okay. We were talking about what the big, I guess the most interesting conversation was about the Thanksgiving weekend pipe burst, which required a pretty rapid response from the town and the construction company. Everybody came in, cleaned everything up. Building was cleared for students by that Monday morning, so it's a pretty quick quick cleanup of that, which I guess could have been a much bigger deal had things not gone so smoothly over the weekend, so that was great.
My kids were disappointed at school, so.
Yeah. There's always a downside.
Yeah, and Greg Cooler, custodial staff, was fantastic, and a local company too, a professional cleaning company, they were fantastic. They really did a professional job of cleaning. We had custodians available for any teachers on Monday, if they had needed any kind of help whatsoever. Anything, ESG, by the way, stepped forward, they picked up any cost, there was no cost to the taxpayer. Tiles by the hundreds were just, even if there was a question, they were just removed and new ones were put in. We had our health inspector, John Lodano, come in Sunday morning, and he came in the following week too, just to check on everything, to reassure everyone that according to his standards, the health inspection was a good one, a positive one. He actually said, I shared with you, that he was impressed with the kind of teamwork and the quick response, that if it wasn't this quick response, it could have led to problems and so on. So that was it.
Okay. And I think we probably had a building committee update, or a building project update a couple times, so was there anything you wanted to add from that?
What'll be coming up, just you can look forward to this in the future. As you know, part of the upgrade, an important part is the security changes as far as the physical changes within the school. And one of the things mentioned would be an installation of a Sally port. That's something that already exists in the Bethany Elementary School and the Orange schools and in schools around the state. That would be a dramatic change here because it'll be in the north entrance. Tentative plans are for installation over the February President's Day weekend. That may or may not happen depending on orders and things of that sort. But we'll have to get more information out to the staff and to the parent community about what changes will be brought on with that kind of situation. Eventually it'll be it's like a portal kind of welcoming where, and we have to strive to keep security at the same time our sense of school community, but there's software to screen all visitors into the school and things of that sort, but a lot of protective things. We're going to have a staff conference on that to share with staff, but also we'll have to, as we get definite information, share with the parent community, with the school board definitely. And you may want a presentation on it, in fact, yourself.
And is there work being done over the holiday break? So there's no extended day, is that correct?
Yes, no extended day over the holiday because of the work being done. And that's to install our chiller and the micro turbine. The micro turbine too will give us extra hours if there's a light outage, so it will generate some of our emergency lights and emergency systems that we have here. So that will be done over the
Okay. Steve, I know we talked a lot about finance already with the budget, but anything else? No? Okay. Lisa, Cade?
Quiet. There's a webinar this Thursday on the new social studies frameworks. We'd like to be filled in about that. Other than that, not a lot coming from me.
Okay. Upcoming meetings, the first one, report card updates. I had just a couple things. If we could get kind of just a brief summary of the team, the process that was used to modify the report card. What's being done or what has been done for teacher preparation for using the new report cards. Same thing with parents, if there's a plan for parent preparation when they see the new report cards. And then what's the, going forward, the review and revision process as we put up a new report card. Obviously it's new, how will we look at, how's it working and what do we need to tweak it. Did anybody else have any report card, what they might be looking for from next month's update? Okay. Healthy food, again, I just had a couple. We're not looking, well, at least I'm not looking for solutions, more of a proposal on how do we discuss the whole healthy food issue, what's the format of that, what's the timeline, financial impact secondary to the ideas, kind of process. And then again, policies, we currently have the healthy food certification adoption, whether, if we're to the point of a recommendation on that. And then the current board directive as the cafeteria is self-sustaining in terms of cost. And, you know, again, whether we think that that's something we want to look at going forward.
To go along with that discussion, it'd be great to see more in-depth financial numbers about current budgeting, and more than what we typically see as far as
Say that again,
cafeteria
Lisa.
funding. As part of the discussion, it would be
Yeah.
good to have more in-depth financial information about the cafeteria operations than what we usually see.
And by that, just so I have kind of an idea, like the cost of food versus the.
Yeah, and broken down between the à la carte and the meal plan.
Oh, okay, so
money
do we
coming
sell
in.
more entrees, do we sell more, you know, just kind of
Yeah.
some stats on existing,
Yes.
what happens, okay. Okay. Public comment again? Oh, I'm sorry,
I
Emily.
was
you
going to
had
ask,
this?
you know, I only know, I wasn't at the meeting, but I only know that there were some parents that like had brought in suggestions around food, and it seemed that the cafeteria staff was receptive to that, and just kind of understanding kind of how their process is in terms of, you know, choosing the menu and what kind of input or guidance.
So
they're
the
giving
process of
around-
choosing the menu,
Around healthy
okay.
choices.
So you're, Margaret, you're talking about a proposal on how we have ongoing conversations about this here. Oh, look at this here, you're so organized.
Or I
This here,
forget,
Make
I
my life
can't
easy.
remember anything anymore.
Yeah, that's it.
Nothing.
Okay, very good.
Okay, Marcia, I'm guessing there's no public comment. Okay. And then we have an executive session to go into, so we'll give everybody a minute to put away cameras and things, and then we'll go into
I
executive
want to wish
session.
everyone